Oh, hello there, Sumner Spartans. I must ask you a question. Are you ready to do some math? I am. Happy Tuesday. It's good to see you guys again. Actually, be on the lookout because tomorrow I will be posting a video about questions I've been getting about new virtual learning that will be coming after spring break. Don't worry, you still get spring break. Most of you guys have been on a 3-week spring break, but I guess we're just going to give you another week off because why not, right? Why not? Anyways, today we are going to be looking at some triangles. So my beautiful camera woman, if you could bring it in this way, and let's talk a little bit about triangles and some SAT type prep questions around those. So first, let's talk about just basic triangle info, right? We know that the area is 1/2 the base times the height, okay? And generally our base is that hypotenuse. What's the hypotenuse? All right, well, the hypotenuse is this longest angle or this longest side of a triangle. It's associated with the largest angle. And the way that you normally label these angles is like uppercase, lowercase, uppercase, lowercase, uppercase, lowercase. So the opposites are the lowercase version of the side or angle. You got your legs, you got your hypotenuse. Goes without saying, A plus B plus C equals 180 degrees. Okay, my wife can't stop laughing in the background. She's not used to the mustache. I think I look fan-freaking-tastic. Okay. Anyways, also, if any of you on a side note were wondering what my chin looks like, I found it. Okay, after I took a machete to it, and then some clippers, then a lawnmower, and then eventually I was like, oh, there's my chin. Found it. Took me a while. I haven't found it in a couple years. Okay. There's 2 types of triangles, if we can move in here, that are worth mentioning. One is equilateral. You mark the sides the same length with this little dash, and those are all going to be 60, 60, 60, because all the sides are the same. That's an equilateral triangle. Then you have an isosceles triangle, and that's where just 2 of the lines are the same. And it's worth noting that these angles will be the same, whatever they are. When you have angles that are the same, you have this little half circle here, and you can mark them that way. All right. Now let's talk about our special right triangles. You have a 45, 45, 90 right triangle. Now, once again, these are the same. These are the same. So you can annotate it that way. And you have x, x, and x times the square root of 2. That's 45, 45, 90. Then we have our 30, 60, 90. 30, 60, 90. Has a side of x. The hypotenuse is 2 times x, and then this other leg is x times the square root of 3. These are just special triangles, ones that you would want to know, along with obviously the granddaddy of them all, the Pythagorean theorem. This guy is very popular. If there's one thing when you're like 40 that you probably remember from Algebra 2 or geometry, it's Pythagorean theorem. Because when I tell people I'm a high school math teacher, they just shout this at me like I really care that they remember. But they just do. As you get older, if you ever meet a math teacher out in the wild, in the streets, okay, feel free to shout this at them so they know that you remembered one thing from your math experience in high school. It really makes us feel good, warm and fuzzy inside. All right, moving on to this. We have ratios. We've got ratios. Oh my goodness.
Do we have ratios?
We've got ratios.
Okay.
Can you get this? Is this in the camera?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So ratios is similar triangles. How do you know that triangles are similar? Well, they have to have the same interior angles. I've just labeled these angles X, X, Y, Y, Z, Z. Since those are the same interior angles, you can set up this awesome ratio where you can compare these 2 and these 2 and these 2, okay? And they all equal the same ratio. That's why we really like ratios with triangles. You use them a lot in SBA, SAT, ACT type of questions. Okay, so before we solve that type of question, and I'll insert a link at the end of where you can go to try some of these questions out, okay? Let's look at some helpful tips. 1, always want to use our formulas and past knowledge when we're solving problems. A lot of these problems are just that. They're really wordy and problem solving, and you just need to use whatever formulas or past knowledge you have in your brain that you can try and relate to that problem. That's step one. Step two, when working with multiple shapes, you need to break up the info and associate it with the right shapes. If you don't have the information associated with the right shapes, you're not gonna really be able to solve the problem very efficiently. Three, draw it out, okay? We're not computers. We don't have simulations up here in the head. Just draw it out so you can see it, please. Okay, and then the fourth one, and this one I put in blue because it's a little bit special. When you get done, plug in your numbers and check, okay? If I solve a problem and it tells me to hit a home run in Yankee Stadium, I have to hit the ball 4.75 million miles, yeah, that answer's wrong, okay? Home run's like 200, 300, 400 feet. I don't know exactly, but somewhere in there, not 4 million miles, all right? Next, when you are going to plug in numbers and check, sometimes it's very helpful to just choose numbers, whatever ones are floating around, choose some of those, okay? And then from there, go ahead and, would you stop doing that, please, behind the camera? She's killing me today.
The mustache, it's so much.
I know, the mustache is a lot. Anyways, as we go in here, plug in the numbers to check. You can choose numbers and then go through the process that way and kind of use a process of elimination, because a lot of these in the ACT and SAT and even college prep stuff, it's going to be multiple choice. But every once in a while, you'll run into a big problem like this. So moving on to our last poster of the day. I know 3 posters. I've been busy. It's been a busy day in my household. Okay. But a summer camp counselor wants to find the length X in feet across the lake represented by the sketch above. So I've got this sketch. It looks like I've got 2 triangles here. I need to know this in feet. Okay. It says the lengths AB, EB, BD, and CD measure 1,800, 1,400, 700, and 800 feet respectively. Ooh, that's a lot. Segments ED and AC intersect at B. Okay, so ED and AC, yep, they intersect right there at B. And AEB and CDB are congruent. Oh, cool, so those are the same. I can see that in the picture because they're clearly marked. What is X? Wow, if I'm you guys, I'm looking at that like, wow, that is really overwhelming. That's a lot of words, and I got pictures and informations. So let's look at we can think of our steps, and I'll just let my camera woman see the problem there as I talk. But first I wanna use formulas and past knowledge, okay? 2, when working with multiple shapes, we can break it up into smaller shapes. That's gonna be helpful in this problem. 3, draw it out, cool, and fill in the given info. I think 3 is a great place for us to start. All right, the first thing I want to note here is because these are 2 lines that intersect, you guys might remember that this angle and this angle are the same, okay, because they're alternate angles of intersecting lines, okay? Boom, those are the same. You might remember that from geometry. Well, now I know if these are the same and those are the same, well then heck, this and that have to be the same as well. So I'm going to fill that in. Well, these have to be the same. And if all 3 of my angles are the same, I can use step number 1, remember past knowledge, we just talked about ratios. I've got 2 similar triangles. I can probably set up some ratios here. Well, let's see if this information will help me do that. All right, I know that AB goes with 1,800 feet. So AB is 1,800 feet. Cool. I also know that EB is 1,400 feet. Okay. Next, I need to know BD right here. That's 700 feet. And finally, I have CD. So I've got this guy on the end. And that's 800 feet. All right, cool. I'm gonna start to use some of these ratios. Well, I gotta use the right ratios. So from B to my yellow here, I can't use 1800 because even though I have that, I don't have that. And those are the ones that match up with each other. But I do have this and I have this. So 1 to 2, 1 to 2. Oh, that's my sides that are, I can set up the ratios. So I'm gonna set up the ratio there. I have 700 over 1400. That equals, well, I can set up any other ratio I want. So I want this ratio and X. Well, that's gonna be 800 over X. Cool. Now I can do some cross multiplication. So I'm gonna cross multiply here. And I get 700x equals 800 times 1400. Where's my calculator? I had my calculator.
What's 8 times 14?
8 times 14 is a great question. That's got to be 112. And then how many zeros do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so judging by that, 1, 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that seem right? That would be 1,120,000. That doesn't seem right at all. Perfect. So we went ahead and multiplied that. I had to pause the video for a sec and double check my calculations. Luckily, I'm a human calculator. So even though I've been on quarantine, my brain's not mush. Hopefully your brain isn't mush and you've been watching these videos. Okay. So now I'm going to divide this by 700. Divide this by 700. And X will be, well, now we actually can grab a calculator. Grabbed it from home. I have 1,200,000 divided by 700, and that's going to give me 1,600. So across the lake is 1,600 feet. So a little under half a mile. Big lake, big lake. All right, guys. Like I said, be on the lookout for a video announcement from me coming later in the week on what learning is going to look like after spring break. And we're going to actually start grading some stuff, and we're going to make it required because I don't know how long quarantine is going to last, but we got to keep learning going. All right, so I will start being grading and things like that. If you have missing assignments, take a picture, email them to me. If you don't have missing assignments, you want to retake that last test, lots of emails about that. Continue to send them my way, okay, and I can send instructions there. Keep doing the check-ins. I love reading those. I love checking in with you guys, seeing where you're at. And remember, mustaches are cool even when you're not in school. Later.